Welcome to the Big Four Accounting Firms podcast, brought to you by big4accountingfirms.com. In today's podcast, we're going to be talking about a couple news stories out of Australia, specifically from the Australia Financial Review. Just going to be talking a little bit about it. The first one is that there are mid-tier accounting firms in Australia that are unwilling to raise their pay for the lowest level accountants. And so it says that their accounting leaders go back on the tools. And I guess this is probably an Australian phase, but it's basically saying that the accounting firm leaders are unwilling to meet their rising salary demands of candidates. So now they're doing work that they once relegated to staff using Excel and all these types and all the type of technological tools. And I'm sure they're using outsourcing as well. But I think this is a unique situation. I think it's because it's mid-tier. The partners and directors and lower levels, the higher levels, but the lower level, lower than partner, are having to use tools and do work that they weren't used to. But I don't think this is really an anomaly. I think this happens even in the big four accounting firms because people, the staff now are just different. I mean, there's salary demands, but there's also some staff that just think that they're above doing a certain amount of work, or they just are very, very work-life balanced out. So I think this has been going on for a while, and not even just recently, even in the past. Partners, managing directors, senior managers would often do a lot of the work themselves, but then not charge the time. Despite what the big four accounting firms tell you, that's just the way it's been. And it's probably only increasing now, not only because some accounting firms, like mid-tier accounting firms, don't want to meet salary demands, but also just the job market. A lot of people are quitting all throughout the process. So I think this is happening more and more. I think people are having to live with it more and more. I think it was always part of the big four accounting firms. It's just now it's probably bigger than it's ever been just because of the Great Resignation, COVID-19, other factors around the globe, inflation, rising salary costs. It's just pushing more work to the people that are willing to stick around. And the people that are willing to stick around are higher up people because they're going to get promoted. So that was the first story. The next story I want to talk about is PwC Partners. Salary was seen by the Australian Financial Review, and they said it's closely guarded, and it was because I tried to search around for more information, couldn't really find it. But they say that the salary range for PwC Partners in Australia is they're being paid more than pre-pandemic levels, and the range is from $380,000 for the most junior partners to $3.9 million for the most senior partners. And to me, that sounds about right, just from a global level. I bet, I think in most places, I think in the US, PwC partners probably make around $400,000, $450,000. And obviously the most senior would be making a few million, if not more. It just depends on what engagements you're on and what kind of work you're winning. But that sounds about right. And they say that in 2019, the median level was $1 million per partner. So it just goes to show that the partners are getting paid really well. We knew that already because of all the information from around the globe, including UK partner pay, which is publicized, has been the greatest it's ever been. And yeah, Australia partner rates are lower than UK, but it's just a structural thing there. There's probably more partners per amount of revenue in Australia than there is in the UK. But we'll just have to see how this keeps going on because there's a lot of headwinds against the global economy, sanctions, inflation, supply chain issues, and it hasn't yet hit public companies extremely hard. For example, in financial releases, but we're coming up on Q1 here, and I think some things we'll get a better sense of how things are for global companies. Now it's Q1 for public companies, but it's going to be almost year end for the big four accounting firms. So hopefully for everybody out there working in the big four accounting firms, the year end, this period of bliss and where everything seems like it's increasing forever, lasts until the big four accounting firm year end, and then things can fall apart after that. But right now, the partners are getting paid the most, and that means they're probably going to pay salaries of employees the most. We just read a story about the mid-tier accounting firms aren't necessarily willing to meet those salary demands, but mid-tier accounting firms are stingier than the big four anyway, just because it's harder for them to gain revenue or big chunks of revenue like the big four accounting firms. The big four accounting firms are able to get big chunks of revenue. For example, now with government spending, they're able to get that a lot easier than a smaller accounting firm. But those are the updates for today. Make sure to subscribe to this podcast to get future updates and check out the show notes for useful links. Thanks for listening.